Hi, hello. It's been a while. How you doing? Good? I'm doing great. Now, let's start on a positive note and say that I've wasted a good part of my life meandering on what I now see as mainly superficial things. What do I mean by this? Well, this habit of mine to obsess and pursue absolute perfection is destructive by nature, only destructive. These videos, this channel you're watching, they're all I think about sometimes, as pathetic as that sounds. I even fell into a bit of a slump when I was working a 9 to 5 a few years ago, exclusively because I couldn't do this. For a year, nothing was made. I sat here, frustrated, soaking what little time I had into making my little films, my hobbies, my little vanity projects. And none of them felt right, like I was missing something. My body was drained and my mind filled with this constant white noise. It followed everywhere. It was almost like being in this depression, this downward spiral, and no matter what I did, I fell deeper. Now, what does any of this have to do with ANTKIND, the premiere novel of screenwriter and director Charlie Kaufman of Synecdoche, New York, and Being John Malkovich fame? Well, you could say that I found something of a kindred spirit in B. Rosenberg, a film critic filling our heads with the rambling conjectures of a coffeed-up Redditor, devoid of any purpose other than to stroke his ego and fulfill the cultural rituals of a 2016 Tumblr page, not out of any pursuit for a more tolerant or inclusive society, but more to stroke his own ego, his persistence on the pronoun thon for those in the non-binary sphere does nothing but nullify his self-serving attitude, and when confronted with the demographics he supposedly supports, he can be anywhere from ignorant to his condescension to outright hypocritical of his own bigotry. His girlfriend, who you would know, is African American, and he'll be sure to remind anyone of color of that fact, while at the same time lusting for her fine ass and fearing his comparative penis size. If it's not obvious, B. Rosenberg is pathetic, a pinnacle of the defeated male archetype that our author truly loves in the majority of his work. Look no further than John Cusack's character in Being John Malkovich, or Philip Seymour Hoffman's Caden Cotard in Synecdoche, New York. Now, while on a trip to Florida, this character, B, a parody of the real-life Richard Brody, discovers what he can only call the perfect movie, a 3-month-long stop-motion opus made single-handedly by the century-old Ingo Cutbirth. B must take this film. He must show it to the world, showcase this enigmatic artist. He would be foolish not to. Nothing like it had ever been made before. But, sadly, this goes against Ingo's entire point, for after their viewing, the film must be destroyed. This is his single request, above all else. And, of course, B does not follow this instruction. He hauls every reel, prop, and puppet back to New York after Ingo dies, and yes, Ingo dies mid-screening, stopping briefly at Slammy's, this restaurant B visits in the first chapter. And while trying to impress the cashier of his African-American girlfriend, the film catches fire. B, in a panic, rushes to save what he can, but it is too late. 3 months later, B awakens from a coma, his memory of Ingo's masterpiece largely forgotten. He is left to roam the earth, seeking full recollection of this impossible film. This right here is the inciting incident of ANTKIND, and largely its most coherent. B utilizes a hypnotist to rediscover scenes of the film, fragments of which contradict over time. We follow a multitude of different characters. But what matters more is what isn't seen, the unseen, a space beyond the camera. Ingo claims to have animated an entire world of puppets, all of different races, religions, creeds, and ethnicities, yet they are never shown to the viewer. In this hypnosis, this dream world, B is able to see the unseen, or so he believes. because to see the unseen would go against the very purpose of the film. Because while Mankind sounds like a tragedy, it's mostly a comedy, first and foremost. Kaufman maintains this perfect level of disdain with B. He is pathetic and hypocritical while still human. He is our Sisyphus, rolling a boulder of memories and ambition, only to falter and fall. Literally, for the presence of manholes or person-holes appear quite suddenly throughout the book. B suffers on behalf of the reader. His misery made our amusement. Even in his hollow lip service for a more tolerant world, B is made the punchline due to his choices. To switch analogies here, B is the modern Balaam, the prophet who disobeyed God to curse the Israelites, only to be stopped by, of all things, his talking donkey. A similar donkey, or an ass, if you want to be literal, appears in ANTKIND, a puppet recovered from the fire. It speaks to B as well, though the conversation does not go the same route. B does not forfeit his mission. He is so deep in his head that he cannot even comprehend what the donkey is saying, cryptic as it is. This divine punishment is less exact than expected. It is made a slow burn, a series of unfortunate events. At one point, B is made a street-side magician. In another, he is chased around by a knife-wielding psycho roommate. In another, B fucks a mountain. The further you fall into this downward spiral of obsession, the less concrete reality becomes. Multiple clones of B appear, and the very fabric of time and space dissipates into a fog, a miasma of scattered memories and dreams. Is there a difference between memory and dream? Is there such thing as an eidetic memory, a perfect memory? Or is what we remember simply the mind's interpretation, a subjective view of events? Luckily, in this batshit insanity of a story, there remains an objective chronicle of events, a literal block framework of the universe where time is quantifiable. Even within B's stream of consciousness, there lies a beginning, a middle, and an end. What matters above all else is his perspective. Now, a lot of videos I've watched about this book have taken the final act quite literally, considering the war between Slammies and the army of robot Donald Trumps, cloning, time travel, even a talking ant called Calcium to be major players in the destruction of B's life, this grand conspiracy that goes on and on for millions of years. I've tried to justify this. I've tried to make a cohesive rationale of how everything and anything connects, which I have no doubt it does. Though I've realized that I was missing the point of Mankind in doing this. I, much like B, was running in circles, analyzing each and every word until I got the whole picture, when most of the final pages are abstract and almost metaphysical by design. I was essentially playing into Kaufman's hand, growing just as obsessed as B was to Ingo's masterpiece, just as obsessive as I've been to my videos, my YouTube, my hobby, my vanity projects. They were all I could think about. And just as B wandered New York in pursuit of enlightenment, for some clarity from the constant lists and reviews and little anecdotes running through his skull at rapid fire, there was never closure. Within the fog of consciousness, details easily fall to the wayside, and by the end of it, you lose the purpose of the core idea, the message. Now, I have this rather pessimistic sense that regardless of how much we try to shine light on everyone's stories, the majority will never be known to the world. This has always been a big problem in art. For every Van Gogh or Kubrick, there's bound to be thousands of talented painters and filmmakers who are overshadowed, forgotten, or outright lost. Film was once viewed exclusively as a commodity, a product to be shown and later destroyed. Art, in opposition, is meant to endure, to convey a message. It can only function when seen by the observer, an audience, even a critic. With them, the work can be analyzed, discussed, even criticized. The viewing of art is just as important as the effort that goes into making it. Without it, it may as well not exist. And sure, fingers can point to whatever cultural or political debacle is holding an artist back. Maybe it's a fear of consequence or retaliation. Maybe they never get the chance to do anything. The unseen in Ingo's film encompasses the entirety of this world. No matter where you're from or what you believe, there will always be a perspective you never know, a spectacle you never see. After all, no matter how bright the spotlight, darkness will always surround it. And there's a tragedy to that, right? A tragedy that undermines the constant buffoonery of B. Rosenberg and the main characters of Ingo's film, a collection of knockoff ABBA and Costellos who, in their pursuit for fame and fortune, paved the road to hell. One could argue the entirety of ANTKIND is the film, an impossible film, all-consuming and self-indulgent in its own wit and complexity. As cliché as it is to say, I can't see this book being made into a movie. It's completely unadaptable. I cannot blame Charlie Kaufman for choosing a format like this. It frees him from any studio meddling, and some of the book's best twists come from the very format of it being a book. By the final pages, B jumbles through what I can only describe as the innards of his very consciousness, hopping through time and space in a mess of mimetic noise. He falls one last time, fully submitting to the madness of the world, the madness of thought, of dream, of memory. In that instant, he understands the fragility of reality, the importance of experience. He begins to fall in reverse, flying upward, rising. The entirety of his life playing backwards in the lives of those around him. They revert to their beginnings, their origin. And in that way, I feel ANTKIND cautions the reader not to loathe what is lost, clinging to the what-ifs and what-have-yous that life can bring, because memory is a fragile thing. And if you're not paying attention, it can easily burn and become smoke in your eyes. Don't hit the bottom. Okay, that was my video on ANTKIND, a book that I really like. I would probably give it a... I feel like a 9 is very, very nice. I feel like it's very, very generous. Thank you for watching this video. If you are sticking here till the end, here are my Patreon people to the side. You guys are awesome. Let me know what you think. ANTKIND is a great book. Charlie Kaufman is a genius, and I should say there is a lot that I missed, and not missed, but I didn't talk about, because this book is very dense. There is a lot, and I didn't want to give too much away. There's some very funny gags. There's some very... when I say twists, I mean twists. Like, you don't even think about it when you're reading it, and then once you kind of put everything together, you're like, oh crap, really? That's what happened? Yeah, it's a phenomenal read. If you like what I do, consider liking, commenting, subscribing. Consider donating to the Patreon so you can be next to these people here. My life is okay. I'm doing alright. I had to make a move, so I am currently in kind of a purgatory right now. Just kind of like getting by, so it's been kind of rocky. This video was actually supposed to come out a few weeks ago. We shot this originally out on a beach. I thought that would be like a cute idea because the book's prologue takes place on a beach, and I'm like, haha, beach, you know. But some of the footage did not come out good. I'm going to put somewhere around here a shout out to my friend C Jensen03, or just CJ. He's in a lot of my short films. He helped me that day with some camera work, and he did great. Sorry that footage is not being used. Love you, buddy. You're my man. But I want to give him a little shout out. And then I've had nothing but technical difficulties trying to film this indoors. This is kind of my first time using a lot of this stuff. I got a teleprompter hooked up so I can follow along with my own script. I'm not just like completely rambling, but I at least have like some type of framework. So we're gonna see how this comes out. And yeah, that's it. I'm running out of stuff to talk about and ramble. Let me know what you want me to talk about. I want to do a lot of like my own little rant, like video essay type of things. I know that's kind of like a dying breed right now. But you know, I got a lot of things in my head that I want to like get out there. And I enjoy doing these just as much as I like doing my little like short films. So yeah, like, comment, subscribe, love you. Take your vitamins, eat healthy, and behave. I guess don't go to prison. See ya.